From 2008 the economy almost passed on as the property advertised started falling, bringing the financial part down with it. So the administration, related to the leaders of the banks and the central bank, concocted an arrangement, quantitative facilitating. In its most oversimplified structure the thought was this: the Fed will purchase all the terrible home loans. This, they found, was a cunning little device they could utilize again later when the economy appeared as though it may flounder. On the off chance that an organization appears as though it could go down and take the economy with it, no issue, the Fed can simply rescue them with stock purchases. This, obviously, expels hazard from the free market, which prompts horrible conduct. What we have now isn't free market private enterprise, it is national bank-driven pseudo-private enterprise. Organizations don't flourish in light of their benefits, they flourish on the grounds that an intrigue of obscure financiers is channeling cash at them. Involve Wall Street had a ton to do with dismissing this thought. Redirecting individuals' thoughtfulness regarding other progressively trifling issues is particularly in the bank's eventual benefits at the present time. Try not to peep behind the blind. This is such a hard one to appreciate. Somebody needs to pay the enthusiasm on the treasuries referenced in the past thing, yet the money originates from the Fed, so where does the cash originate from for the premium duty? In 1913 both the central bank framework was made, and the federal government established annual assessments. Those assessments are utilized, to some degree, to pay the enthusiasm attributable to the private bank for the treasuries it claims. At this point you may have seen something very noteworthy: this is a lawful Ponzi plot. The Treasury makes cash out of nowhere to pay enthusiasm on the money it previously made out of nowhere. We as a whole recognize what occurs in a Ponzi plot in the long run. So here's the brilliant inquiry: for what reason doesn't the Treasury simply print the cash as it did in the days of yore and annihilate the premium segment? Abraham Lincoln did it. Garfield abhorred focal banking and said that whoever controls the cash of a country, controls that country and is total ace of all industry and trade. McKinley was sharply against a fiat money. They state JFK was intending to re-establish cash versus money. These folks didn't simply loathe national banks, they shared something different for all intents and purpose. Here is an exceptionally rearranged clarification of how money comes to exist. The U.S. Treasury prints a thing called a Treasury bond, which is a guarantee to pay the assumed worth, in addition to premium. The Federal Reserve Bank makes details in its spreadsheets which viably approaches a lot of cash and uses it to purchase the bond from the Treasury Division. Treasury would then be able to print money and mint coins. Abruptly money has appeared from nothing aside from a guarantee of reimbursement with premium. So every dollar available for use right presently is an obligation guaranteed by the Treasury to the holders of the Treasury bonds. The Fed holds $2.5 trillion of U.S. Treasuries, which is about 1/6 of U.S. obligation held outside the legislature. Money is printed by the exclusive Federal Reserve Bank. The Federal Reserve isn't an administration establishment. It is claimed by a gathering of state central bank banks, and thus, they are possessed by nobody knows. The truth is out: the control of the US dollar is essentially in the hands of a mystery gathering of individuals. All we know for certain is that the present bank was made on December 23, 1913, with most Democrats casting a ballot to make the bank and most Republicans casting a ballot against making it. It is the third national bank in the U.S., with the first being made in 1791 when George Washington marked it into creation at the encouraging of Alexander Hamilton. Its sanction lapsed in 1811, and after 5 years, in 1816, James Madison reinstated it as the second U.S. national bank, which went on until 1837. After that there was no national bank until the formation of the present took care of. Strikingly, during this season of no national bank, Andrew Jackson turned into the solitary president ever to take care of the national obligation. Gold is customarily a case of cash. It meets the entirety of the above rules. Be that as it may, shouldn't something be said about the money in your pocket? That isn't a store of significant worth for reasons that will get obvious as you read. The money in your pocket is cash. It remains instead of genuine cash, and it is a helpful thing when ravenous governments can figure out how to keep the flexibly steady. Be that as it may, generally they can't. It used to be that the highest quality level gave us a limited measure of cash against which we could peg our money. In any case, in 1971 Nixon stunned the world by making the US dollar glide with the guarantee that the cash flexibly would stay stable. This implied America didn't need to trade US money for physical gold. The issue is that as more interest emerged for government spending, more cash got printed. At the point when you print new cash, it is called expansion and it downgrades the current stock. On the off chance that the legislature multiplied the money flexibly tomorrow, all the money in your pocket would be worth half. It resembles a secrecy charge. This is the place everything got its beginning. The Spanish dollar was utilized all through pre-progressive America and was likewise generally utilized the world over to such an extent that it was successfully the main worldwide money. It stayed legitimate delicate in the US even past autonomy until 1857. Dollar originates from talar, the name of a coin initially printed in the 16th century and named for Joachim's Thal, where the silver for the coin was mined. The dollar image's root is obscure, with the best conjectures being that it is a deviation of the P and S from Spanish pesos, or that it is essentially a twisted variation of the number 8, alluding to the bits of 8. Nowadays the pervasive silver dollar has transformed into a gold dollar along the lines of dollar coins found in different countries. The American dollar coin isn't every now and again observed regardless of being given as change by various open vehicle frameworks, for example, the New York Metro. While we've all known about the greenback, lesser known are the grayback and redback. The grayback was the cash of the Confederate States of America, and 1 million were given only before the beginning of the Common War. They had no incentive past the guarantee of the Confederate States government to pay out in case of winning the Common War or shaping a settlement with the United States. Their worth varied drastically as fights were won and lost, with a huge 20% depreciation happening quickly upon the loss of the Gettysburg fight. And afterward there is the redback. The redback was the official cash of the Republic of Texas, gave in 1839 and 1840 to help spread the expenses of the national obligation. Taking all things together, they gave cash in the accompanying divisions: $5, $10, $20, $50, $100, and $500. The bills were called redbacks due to the shade of the ink used to print them. Once in a while observed US categories exist or have existed before. Basically everybody thinks about the $2 note now, so you can no longer utilize it to trick individuals. However, another lesser realized note is the $100,000 that was imprinted during the 1930s for use between banks as gold notes after the cancellation of private gold possession. These notes made it simpler for the US government to loot the whole country and hand its riches over to a privately owned business with mystery possession. At different occasions there were additionally $500, $1,000, $5,000, and $10,000 takes note of all of which stay legitimate delicate right up till the present time. However, like greenbacks, these are worth more to gatherers than their presumptive worth, so don't spend them. Current US dollars aren't greenbacks. Greenbacks were dollars made and utilized by Republican President Abraham Lincoln during the 1860s. They were made due to legitimate need, as the association was going to quick come up short on cash to battle the Common War. So in 1861, Congress allowed the printing of 50 million request notes, which were printed with green ink on the converse along these lines, prompting the authoring of their popular name. It before long became obvious that these would likewise not be sufficient to battle the war in this way. Hesitantly, President Lincoln started giving full lawful delicate US dollars. In spite of the way that these did not print anymore, they all stay lawful delicate. However, on the off chance that you discover one, it might be worth more in the event that you save hold of it for the notable intrigue. Ben Franklin planned the mainland dollar coin in 1776, and it bore 13 stars to speak to the 13 settlements. Being a clever man, he likewise incorporated the expression "time passes quickly, so mind your business" on the coins. It was not until 1865 that "In God We Trust" was legitimately permitted to be added to American money. however prior structures incorporated the expression God and our right. There was in reality a great deal of conversation around whether to incorporate "In God We Trust" on the cash, and every now and then it dropped out of utilization. In any case, at that point in 1908 it got compulsory for the expression to be put on all coins or notes whereupon it had recently been printed. And afterward in 1956, President Eisenhower marked the law, making it mandatory to remember it for all U.S. cash. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.